Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. So I hope you enjoyed then the English commentary on the Dicker Max. That video was recorded over a week ago, but I just didn't have the abilities to upload it because I was on the old setting and I forgot to take it with me when then I went home. This gameplay was also recorded over 2 weeks ago, and that for science, because I want to ask myself the question, is Sealclubbing actually worth it? And for that purpose, I went into a German premium, rather rare collectible, I guess, light tank or tank destroyer, das Sd.Kfz.234-3 with the short 75mm. And in the gameplay in the background will be self-explanatory, and then the result at the end will answer that question once and for all, especially in comparison to my usual results in terms of RP and civil lines. So obviously the two things that we have to look at are the RP rewards and then also the civil line rewards. And for the civil line rewards, there is the civil line modifier, and that is obviously the lower the battle rating goes. Usually the lower they get, especially tier 1 and tier 2 tanks are not that good for collecting civil lines compared to some good tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 tanks with their maximum modifier of combined 2.8 for RB. And also for RP, you can only research efficiently tier 1 and tier 2 tanks with a tier 1 tank. And so plus 1 tier is possible, and for everything above this you get a penalty. So that is topic number 1. Again, we will see how the results are later when the results come in. I hope you enjoy the gameplay. And then here is the second topic, and that is all about fishing. So while the gameplay is running, let's talk about this. I was actually a little bit surprised about the rather big amount of people that want me to make a fishing video and that found it interesting, but also some people that were a little bit amused about all the regulations here in Germany. You have no idea. So especially for the people that are not aware of this or are just living in different countries where the rules are different, I want to explain it as well. I want to tell you about my plans, the problems, and also the possibilities, because they are actually pretty nice. So first of all, currently I have the license for a few stretches of water, a big river, a small river, and some old water, so stretches of water where the river previously have flown like a few centuries ago, and then the route where the where the river actually got different, after the floods and such. So that is actually a hotspot. And my plans are in the summer to have a lot of activity on the water, going camping, fishing, grilling, all on those spots, hanging out with my friends, and then they can record while I get out the big fish and such. That probably will never happen, but honestly there is a very strong chance in this river that there is a big catfish in it. And we're not talking about the tiny puny little catfish in America. No, we are talking here about the European catfish, and it's one of the few things that is really bigger here in Germany when it comes to wildlife than in America. Usually all the dangerous stuff is in North America, South America, Africa, but this catfish, it ain't small, and my equipment had to be upgraded. So I got the license. I also got to the German army and requested access or permission to get in one of their training grounds, because they coincide with some of the very hot spots, and I just need to drive through to get to the hot spots. I got the license today. It was for free. They just had to know that I go out there. No problem there. Was quickly done in like 10 minutes. But the problem with making a fishing video is actually about the associated type of video, because whatever the topic will be or whatever I might record, as long as it is not a let's play, I need a license for it, a streaming or broadcasting license, whatever it is called. Even very small YouTubers from the very start need this, which is just baffling. And this is, as far as I can tell, not associated with Article 13, but a separate regulation. And I mean, yeah, in theory it's good because it should secure that everything is family friendly. But have you watched my gaming videos? I don't think that every single one of this is family friendly, right? With all the swearing, cursing, and just insulting that's going on in chat and on my behalf as well when I'm, not okay with something that Gaijin has done again or that the player has done, helicopters, you name it. So yeah, I think my fishing videos will be by default much more family friendly if that is what they try to achieve there. Well done, Germany. Well done. So I think one way out of this might be a gameplay overlay. So in the background I let run some War Thunder or you name it, or I begin the video with War Thunder and just declare it as a let's play, and then another part will be fishing. I think that's a good way out of it. We'll see how that works. Another topic is my equipment. So I might have mentioned it, but my old fishing lines, they were very old. They were monophiles, and you should change them after like 2 or 3 years, because after that they begin to degrade, and then you just would break the line. And yes, that's the correct terminology. A fishing line actually breaks and doesn't rip. So I had to renew it, and since I have now the license for this big river that has a lot of currency, or no, not currency, current, it is very strong, and so I upgraded from the monophile fishing lines to the thinner yet stronger plainted or braided fishing lines. They are 2-3 times more expensive, but I think they're worth it. They have better properties, and yeah, I invested quite a little bit in it. I think I was now 3 days in a row outside to fish with my cousin, and there is a lot of work to do to explain him even the basics, because for me, I was fishing like when I was very young to like 10 years ago, very, very highly frequently. And I know, for me, a lot of the stuff is just, muscle memory or things that you do or don't do. And to explain this all to him, because, he's still under 8 years. He will become 8 years next week. So, yeah, that's quite a task. On the other hand, maybe if he is interested in it, who knows? So combining this with camping outside and fishing there and grilling with some of my friends, and also explaining it to him and also upgrading the fishing equipment, I now think that I have become best friend to one of the fishing shop owners. Yeah, that's just how I work. Ooh, new shiny equipment must have. I got too many fishing rods. One final funny story about those fishing rods is when I was fishing in this little puddle in our lake, they were just way too strong, way too big, way too unresponsive if fish has, takes a bite of your bait. But that's okay, because now they are actually too light for that big river. If I, would, on some rare instances, get a catfish on the line. So yeah, that's not good. But I have to figure it out. I try to figure out the spots to get used to the river and its, very unique trade-offs. It's a learning process for myself. I talk to a lot of people that are experienced with this, where to go, what kind of bait to use, and obviously worms and pieces of fish and fish and all the experiments. And I still also read from time to time some of the articles about fishing, as well as watching YouTube videos. There are some highly interesting YouTube channels out there, but I think a lot of the channels focus on the very big fish, like the monstrous catfish, like 2-3 meters long, and just you throw that thing at a person and that person dies by the sheer weight of that fish. it's ridiculous. But for a beginner, there is not a lot of stuff out there. I mean, there are some, and I still try to get my hands on, the easy spots where to go on that specific route. That spot on that big river is not noted in any of the fishing videos that I looked for. So yeah, maybe that's interesting for some. Um, that now brings me to the final topic of the video regarding fishing, and that is why it is so important to have fishing rules in Germany, why they are important, why they make sense, and why I understand that in different countries it is that it is, you know, that there are different rules or no rules at all. So, especially some comments came from Canada or Russia pointing at Germany. Ha ha ha, that's cute. Yeah, you have a much thinner population in your country compared to the area. There is so much more wildlife, and if somebody goes out with a fishing rod and catches some fish, it doesn't really matter. But here in Germany, the population is has a much higher density, and there was a lot of environmental crime, let's say it. So a lot of the rivers were practically dead, and now millions upon millions of euros are spent of getting the rivers and lakes back into shape, especially the rivers that just suffered from the industrialization. So a lot of the fish have died. And with very expensive renaturation programs, people try to get the rivers back into their old shape, quite physically, but also from a population of fish standard. And you cannot only do this by state, even though the state, we have to give him credit for that, spends a lot of money on this. But a lot of the work, you know, the fine detail work is done by fishing clubs and their members. And so to have some sort of organization to keep track of some fish and to get out specific kind of fish, like I got ordered, we take away your fishing license if you don't take home a catfish, because catfish are now too much and they are very hungry. So there is that. The next thing is overfishing, like the small puddle or lake in our village only has like 25 licenses to give away from the town hall. And the thing is, I understand this. Seeing how some people go out there fishing, they just know where the fish are and they just catch the big fish and they don't get them back, so they don't practice catch and release. Some of them actually under the hand try to sell them. So there are also those black sheep. And you can tolerate maybe one or two fishers like this or fishermen like this, but too many of them, the water is just empty. And seeing how some of the programs have worked in the past, it is really, really cool. So one final funny story is about the promise of the 18 and 1900s. When the big and rich families in the area of the Rhine were looking for a housewife or a Hausfrau, then they were advertising their location being special and promising that you only would have to make salmon once per week, because salmon was very, very common back in the days. Now they have been wiped out successfully, and now we have to invest again money to recultivate them. So this is now the results. Let's briefly talk about this after we get a talisman on the J88C. Mwah! Beautiful. So, despite getting here two 7.5k Silverline awards, you know, which make over 1/3 of the overall income for our 11 kills and 1 zone captured, we got only 44,000 Silverlines and 6,000 modification research points. So the mission maker and the survivor award, yeah, you can see it's not really worth it. Sure, it's fun, but it's not really worth it. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the topics that I talked about this. What do you think about seal clubbing? What do you think about fishing? And yeah, let me know in the comment section, and we'll see each other on the waves, in the skies, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.